Hello, 7th grade math students. We're going to be working on dividing fractions today. And I know that sounds really super concerning as we've been working on fractions, and fractions aren't always everyone's best friend. This is going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be we're not going to ever divide fractions. We're always actually going to multiply fractions. So let me show you how we're going to do that today. So we need to first, we are going to multiply by the reciprocal of the divisor. Now, the divisor is always the number that we're dividing by. So this is our divisor. Okay. What I mean by reciprocal is that we are going to flip the fraction. Okay. And that's what reciprocal means. So let's do that. My first number is going to stay the same. 3/4 is staying the same regardless, no matter what. My division turns into multiplication. My divisor is being multiplied by its reciprocal, or it's being multiplied by the reciprocal of the divisor. So that means I'm flipping my 1/4. So my 1/4 is actually going to become 4/1. Flipping it upside down, flipping that fraction. Now I can just multiply it and go straight across the top, straight across the bottom. 3 times 4 gives me 12. 4 times 1 gives me 4. 12 divided by 4. I know that I can just divide each one by 4 there, since they're both divisible by 4. And I get 3/1. 3 divided by 1 is still just going to give me 3 wholes. Remember that this one needs to stay the same. Okay. Make sure you're writing down all these little parts here because they're important for your guided notes. That way you can always go back and re-look at those after this video is finished as well. Now what happens if we're dividing by a whole number by a fraction? Still all the same. We're just going to turn our whole number into a fraction right off the bat. And we can just follow these same steps. First number stays the same, 4/1, our fraction. We're going to multiply instead of divide. We're flipping our reciprocal, or we're flipping the divisor and turning it into its reciprocal. So we're flipping it, so it's actually going to be 2/1. This is pretty straightforward. 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. I know that this is the same number as 8. And you're kind of wondering, hey, Mr. Anderson, how do I get 8 when I had 4.5 to start with? I know that there are 8 halves that go into 4. 4 can be split into 2 different parts, or each one can be split into half. There are 8 halves in 4. Okay. Our last one for the day. If I'm dividing by a whole number and dividing my fraction by a whole number, same thing. I'm just going to flip it or change my whole number into a fraction right off the bat, putting it over 1. Now I can go through my same steps again. My first number needs to stay the same. I'm multiplying, not dividing. And I flip my second one. So instead of being 2/1, it's going to be 1/2. Across the top, across the bottom. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 2 is 8. My new fraction is 1/8. Make sure you guys are finishing the summary down at the bottom here. And then when you're finished with that, make sure you get going on the practice problems that are posted here. These are all division problems, so make sure you're following that steps there and looking back into the example if you guys need any help. When you're finished with that, make sure that your name's on the top of your packet, and then you return it to your red folder in order for you to receive credit for your work on the Monday Material Swap on December 7th. If you guys have questions, or comments, or concerns, make sure you rejoin Google Class or Google Meets to ask questions during class hours. If it's outside class hours, make sure to send me an email. Thanks, guys.